go ahead and get started. So this is our first, I call it volume 1 of our Microsoft Teams and Tricks meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see that. And so this will be a 30-minute session, just real quick tips and tricks that you can learn and hopefully help you improve your Microsoft Teams experience. If you have questions or suggestions for future topics, if you don't mind dropping those into the chat window, and we'll try to cover those today if we get time at the end. If not, we'll cover them in a future session. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So a little bit about our agenda today. We're going to talk about how to just get Microsoft Teams, talk a little bit about when and where you should use Microsoft Teams. And then we're going to kind of get into some of the functionality. What's the difference between chat and Teams channels? And then talk a little bit about how to have a meeting. We'll talk about ad hoc meetings, just kind of on the fly, and then also how to schedule a Microsoft Teams meeting for a specific time and invite people to it. So, and then we'll talk about our next meeting, which will be on Thursday, June 25th. So first up is how to get Microsoft Teams. So everybody here is already using Teams today, but just a quick refresher that customers who use Microsoft Office 365 Business or the enterprise version receive Teams as part of their subscription. For non-Microsoft customers, Microsoft is offering a free 6-month trial of Microsoft Teams for customers to use during these pandemic times. And then for you personally, if you don't have the app installed on your computer already, you can use the web version by going to portal.office.com and logging in with your Office 365 or network credentials, or you can actually download the app for your Windows desktop from the same portal as well. So hopefully that'll help you get what you need there. First thing I'd like to talk about is when and where to use Microsoft Teams. So there's a lot of different capabilities inside of Teams, and we're just going to scratch the surface today. But these are usually the areas that I think of as the most important. So think about the areas where you've used email, for instance, and you need a quick answer from somebody. And maybe in the past you would send an email and then get a response, and maybe it's quick, maybe it wasn't. But with chat, you can get those quick answers, especially for things that you're not looking for, a paper trail or those kind of things. A quick chat message can get you those answers real quickly. So pretty hard to beat for that. For hosting meetings like this, it could be doing webinars, it could be doing for doing training, sales presentations. We use it for just about all of our meetings internally here at Fulcrum, whether it's a small group meeting or if it's a whole company-wide meeting. So it's really great for that. If you've got a team that you work on, maybe you're a part of the sales team or the service delivery team or customer service, you can have communications around that, and then you can actually even create what we call sub-channels, and I'll talk a little bit more about that and show you how you can do those things. Another area that we use quite frequently are the video calls. Video calls are great where you get a chance to see the other person. It makes it a little more face-to-face. We've been encouraging everybody on our team to do video calls whenever possible. Turn on that camera and let's see your smiling face. So, and then other things that you can do or to get into more depth, and we won't talk too much about today, but that's the collaboration, working on documents together, using some of the different applications that can plug into Teams, and you can really get some advanced collaboration capabilities and really improve the functionality. So it's pretty hot stuff there that we'll talk about in the future. So we've got Microsoft Teams channels, Teams and channels versus chat. So I like to think of chat as the the best way to communicate for one-to-one or small groups. And then think of the teams and the sub-channels as ways for your larger groups and teams to communicate over the long term. So I'm going to flip over and show my Microsoft Teams window here. Drop that over here and show you a little bit about the chat capability. So you'll see here on my when I click on chat on the left toolbar, I'll have all of my most recent chats listed here, or I can click on the contacts. Oh, we've got one more attendee, so let me jump back over there and get them. Oh. Let's see. Admit that back. And then, of course, you've got the ability to go to your teams and be able to see your different things. So back under our sales team, for instance, here we have different sub-channels for different topics. And there's Lauren. All right. Oh, we got one more. And Kaylin. I think we got the whole band together now. And so under Teams, I've got different channels. I can create these. I can set these up whether they get notifications or not. You know, just different things that you can do to communicate with your team. So if I want to turn on channel notifications here, right now this one's set to off because I don't want to be notified every time. And then if I have notifications turned on, if I have mentions, I can get those in the banner and feed. So there's different ways that you can get notifications. You can also set up external teams and channels as well. So you'll see down here we've got our Fulcrum advisory board where we have different conversations. Allows us to have those really good kind of communications. So, all right. And then I'm going to move back over here to my presentation. Jump back in. And then having an ad hoc meeting. That means just kind of jumping in and talking to a person one time at a time. So, so we can go back over to my Teams. I want to go to chat. So I can just come down here and choose Laura, for instance, here. And if I want to chat with her, I could just go ahead and type in the message. Or if I haven't talked to the person recently, I can go up here into the search command and I can choose, let's say, Fernando. And I can choose Fernando and chat with him. Real simple. Or I can go to my Microsoft Outlook contacts. I can go to my contacts here. I could find, let's find somebody in specific. Let's find Steve Meek. I can click on his contact. I can click on the Start Chat button, and it'll pop out a chat window for Steve. And I don't know if anybody has seen this yet, but it's one of the new features of Microsoft Teams that you can actually pop out individual chat windows for anybody. So it's a nice feature to be able to keep those out separately. So if you're already in a chat and you want to pop it out, you can just go to the little button in the top right-hand corner and pop out. And it'll pop that out for you. And so if I'm in this chat with John right here, and if I want to turn it into a phone call, I can click on audio. If I want to turn it into a video call, I can just hit the camera icon and turn it into a video call. Or if I want to do a screen sharing session directly with John, I can do that as well. So if you have a group chat session, you can do that as well. Let me find one that I've done recently. with multiple people. Let's see. Here's one with Jeremy and Steve. And I can, do the same thing with multiple people there. So. All right, let's get back to our session here. All right. Okay, so we don't have any questions yet, so we're going to go back to our agenda. And our next slide, it's scheduling Microsoft Teams meetings. So this is a little bit different. So you have a few different ways you can do it. You can go to your Outlook calendar, which we'll go back over here to the calendar. Pull that over here. And here on the Microsoft Outlook toolbar up here at the top, there is a, let's see, let's pick at 5 p.m. right here. And I can click on New Teams Meeting. And it will start a new meeting. I can give it a title, chat about Fred. I could put who I want to put into the meeting here. It's already got the link to Microsoft Teams down here. And then I could just hit send, and that calendar appointment is there. And once I'm ready to, when the time comes, I can just join the meeting from the calendar appointment. We're not going to save that one because we don't want to talk about Fred. You can also do the same thing by extra steps by going to your Outlook calendar, clicking on New Appointment, and then in the appointment, you can click on Teams Meeting, and that'll convert it to a Teams meeting, allow you to do the same things. I'm not going to save that one. And then the other thing you can do is you can take an existing calendar appointment and convert it to a Teams meeting by opening the appointment and then clicking on the Teams button from the toolbar. So let's look at my calendar for tomorrow. I've got a conference call scheduled right here. Let's see if this is already set up as a Teams meeting or not. Oh, that one's already a Teams meeting. Let's see. Here's a bi-weekly call. Let's see if this one's a Teams meeting. This one's not a Teams meeting, so oh, actually, Jason did not have that. I think Mike had the appointment on his calendar. So now if I want to convert it to a Teams meeting, I just click the Teams meeting button. And then I would just click send update. And now all the people who had it would know that it's a Teams meeting and not just a regular conference call. All right. Those are all the things that I wanted to cover today. So do we have any questions? Anybody want to unmute themselves and ask a question?
Hey, David, it's Sydney.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. I thought it might be helpful to mention that everything that you just showed us does not work for external people if they're outside of the organization, because it took Kui and I a long time to figure out why outside people could not join my meeting. So they have to actually.
Yeah, there are definitely different permissions for internal people and external people. So we'll definitely want to make sure that we've got your account set up correctly and all those things. Thank you, Sydney, for bringing that one up. That's a really good one. So, all right, what other questions do we have today?
Hi, this is Kylie.
Hey, Kaylin.
Hi. So the other thing is that because none of us have speakers or cameras on our computers, it doesn't work. So we have to log in from a cell phone to get audio, and then our computers for video.
Gotcha.
Just so everybody might know that, because it's always a problem when we do this. So I have my cell phone in here on for audio, but two of us are logged in for video on our computers.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's always a challenge when all the computers don't have the audio and video to do that. So definitely things to keep in mind as we move forward in this new world, right? All right. What other questions? Anybody else?
This is Misty.
Hey,
Can you show us how to set up a Teams meeting with an external client?
As long as the account is set up properly, it's mostly the same way. We just need to make sure that your settings are set properly in the admin portal. So.
Oh, David, that means I'm probably not set up correctly, because what I have to do an external is I have to build a team that has the external people within it before I can even invite them to join a Teams meeting.
Okay. I'll have to check and see exactly what the setup is on that. There may be some specific things related to healthcare that I'm not quite aware of that might make it more restrictive. But obviously, everybody here just about is outside of Fulcrum Group, and have been invited successfully to the meeting. So I know it can be done, but focusing on this meeting mainly for end user tips and not necessarily administrative tips. But Misty will make sure. I know that Mike is kind of working on a plan for Teams rollout for you guys. So.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else got any good questions? If not, I might call on James. Would I be able to call on you and to give us one of your favorite tips for Teams? James might be in another meeting or doing something else over there. He's on our team. Well, I want to show you one other tip that we use quite frequently, and that's when you're setting up your meeting. So let's go back to the appointment for today, for instance. Let's see this one right here. This is the appointment for the meeting, and down here under where it says join Microsoft Teams meetings, there's also a button or a link that says meeting options. So if I click on meeting options, so basically you have a few different options that you can set. So who can bypass the lobby? In other words, who can automatically be added to the Teams meeting without being just manually accepted? And right now it's set by default to people in my organization. And if I want to always let callers bypass the lobby, I could turn that on. I could also announce when callers join or leave. And then I can also set up who can present. So in this meeting, if someone else in the meeting wanted to be able to present their favorite tip or trick, they would be able to share their screen. So just kind of a neat little thing that you can put some extra capabilities in there. And then another here on the more actions button, you can also change your background effect. I'm going to cover that in a different and one of the next upcoming ones here. But you can also do things like go to full screen if you wanted to do that, where you don't have any any edges, makes it larger. And I believe you hit the Control plus or Control minus. Yeah, you can hit Control plus to zoom in, and you can hit Control minus to zoom out. So, and if you're trying to view somebody's screen, it makes it nice to be able to do that. There's also a new feature for raise your hand. If anybody wants to go ahead and click on the raise your hand button. So I can click over here under hide or participants, and I can see that Caitlin and Sydney raised their hand. So just if you're holding a meeting and you want to have people be able to pop that in there, it makes it nice and easy. So, all right. Any final questions before we wrap up? Does anybody have a?
Yeah, David, this is Bob. James is on another call, but
Okay.
I wanted to mention a couple of things that have been pretty beneficial and probably close to Sydney and Kaylin's and Leah's world. We have Victor's been walking through with our service desk some various basically knowledge transfer. And what we do is we start the video recording, and once you stop the video recording, it'll pop up with a message saying your video is ready. We've then built Teams channels where we populate specific training materials. So if people are onboarding or weren't able to make the first session, they can go back and watch. But that's been beneficial in a train the trainer type of scenario.
Okay, that's a really good one. Well, are there any questions for future topics that you guys would like to see?
This is Kaylin. I have a quick question about what Bob was saying.
Okay.
Can we record things? Can you only record the team session, or can you record something like if we're showing them how to do something in our software, can that be recorded somehow and then shown later?
Yes. As long as you got the down here at the bottom where it has the sharing button, as long as you're sharing your screen, whatever is on that screen will be recorded. Just like today's session, I've recorded this entire session, and it'll be in the recording, and I'll make that available to everybody.
Okay, but you would be able to see the software and not the team screen if you record it?
Yeah, because right now I'm let me get off of exit full screen. And so here I've been, going through this presentation. So that's what's primarily being recorded. So.
Okay. We'll have to
So
learn more.
if someone's sharing desktop, or you can share when you go to the share icon, which is the square with the arrow in it, it gives you different screens that you can share. So if you have, Excel or, pick an application open, you can pick that specific application so that it's not sharing, the wrong monitor or information you don't want shared. So it's nice that it's very selective about what's presented.
I'll plan on covering the screen sharing and recording on the next video. I think that's a really good topic. So. All right. Well, it is 2:27. Actually, I guess it's 2:27. So, any other further topics or questions? Well, if not, we will wrap this up a couple minutes early. I will share the video out at a later point in time, and we will see everybody in 2 weeks. Feel free to forward on to anybody else on your team that you think would benefit. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you.